technologically illiterate.
I'm aware. I say that all the time. I'm like, guys, I'm not tech savvy, and then everybody looks at me like, how are you not tech savvy? I'm like, I'm just not. I don't know. I don't get it. All right,
Ben is here.
Ren is here.
Yep.
Azu is excused. Candace is not here. Yeah. Cody,
Present.
Cool Beans, Eli is not, he is unexcused. Jason's here. Justina,
Here.
Sarah is excused. Nikki
Here.
and Kathy is in the corner, and I am here too. All right, so let's move on to the minutes. Has everybody gotten a chance to look over the minutes?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Very cool. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Seconded.
Any discussion? Going once? Going twice? Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. The minutes are approved. All right, so we'll move on to reports. Constitution Committee. Sarah is not here, but our meeting for the Constitution Committee was canceled for last week. So we obviously didn't talk about anything. Ways and Means Committee.
Very similar. Our
Mhm,
meeting,
yeah.
nothing really happened.
Student Trustee.
I'm gonna keep the theme going. Nothing to report. I have a busy day on the 9th, and next meeting I'll have more to say.
Student Advisory Council, we're meeting on Thursday, so we have nothing yet. Student Body Liaison.
Nothing really to report. College has been moving as normal, kind of jumping back into the semester now that we're a month in. And I know I'll let you get to the retention as well.
Okay, cool beans. Academic Senate.
Yo, same thing as last. Nothing to report. Next meeting's on the 13th. Kick it into next week.
Okay. Student Success Committee, and for Ren and Nicole, did you guys get information from, I believe it's Bill and Ann, who?
Yes, I kindly got a 5-minute warning, the agenda before the meeting.
Oh, no.
But I wrote something. I sent something to you and Justina.
I apologize. That is partly my fault because I was really late on getting the information out to Professor Kuski. So I apologize.
No worries.
I'm in the same boat. I also missed my meeting. But I did get an email from Kuski, but not the other people you spoke of. Not yet, at least.
I did forward you the link for the meeting because he sent it all to me still, so I don't think he knows that it's not me anymore.
Which is
Oh,
really
yeah.
weird because there have been two people before you. I mean, after you, my bad. So, I don't know. I know the email did go out to him though, because I was also CC'd on that email. So if Ren, if you still do not have the information by the time the next meeting comes around, please reach out.
Will do.
Thank you.
I didn't look over the minutes, but I do have them, so I can attach them when I do the minutes for this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Academic Environment and Technology.
I do have something written up. Chloe or Justina, can you, would you mind sharing the screen with what I wrote up? Mine always freezes when I try to share the screen.
I'm not able to.
Yeah. Mine will also freeze, but I will see what I can do.
Jason?
Hold on a second. Nikki, is there any chance you can share it with me and I can share it? Like if you
Oh,
send me
yeah.
an email?
Yeah, let me do that real quick.
And then if someone there could give me co-host rights, we will just.
I just made you co-host.
I see it. I see it.
That's the problem. I've got my office. I don't have access to anything over here.
It's one of those days where if I don't, I'm just gonna keep getting the students coming in all day. Making people happy.
And Justina, for the minutes, Eli is here. It's 4:43 p.m.
Welcome, Eli. We're just, Nikki's sending me something so I can share it with the group.
Okay, it should be all set. I just did it.
All right. My email's about as slow as I am.
No
So
worries.
it came through on my phone, so here it comes. I got it. Here we go.
Comes on my phone first.
It's because Bill Gates is always watching. All right. Okay, Nikki, here we go. And then if you could just do me a favor and just let me
Mhm.
know if this font looks good for you there.
Okay, I actually already put in 18, so
Okay.
it should be fine.
So yeah, I just can't see the share if I'm sharing. I can't see how you see it.
Can you make it, can you increase it a little bit?
Yeah, that's what I was.
Yeah. It's on the bottom right.
There we go. I'm working on two different. Oh, if I do that. How's that?
I'll work with it. That works fine.
Good.
All right,
Awesome.
so I'll try to make this very brief. Oh, what happened?
Hey, can I help?
Jason. No.
Success.
Success, yay.
Can you see it okay?
No.
No.
You lost it. Okay. Hold on.
Success.
We made a note here. It was a huge success.
Yeah.
We got that in the minutes, guys? Justina? I don't know why I referenced everybody, but.
Okay, well, I'll work with it.
Can you see
All right,
that
so-
now?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll try to make this quick. They've been going over the social media guidelines. I guess that's been completed. They will be going over the acceptable use policy. They're gonna review and provide feedback for the next meeting. They want to learn how to control mass texting on email. And they also plan to review corporate acceptable use policy and how other state colleges have acceptable use policies. For classroom environment, they're planning to have a space planning committee, which is a subcommittee of the leadership team. If you want a request for space, I guess that has to be requested ahead of time. They didn't say specifically how to do that. Please bear with me, this is my first meeting. That would be to either change a space or to make a space adaptive. Jason, can you scroll down the page for me, please?
Sorry, I'm doing.
No worries.
There we go. How's that?
Perfect. So tablet desks were changed into full tables in 3 classrooms on the 3rd floor in Gardner. No new purchases were made. The tables came from the Devon's campus, but they may consider a purchase in the future. They're looking for professor feedback on the table setup versus desk. One thing that I did ask is if the tables are handicap accessible for mobility aids such as a wheelchair. And they said that they would find out for me for the next meeting next month. I don't know if there's anything else. Was there a second page? I can't remember. Oh, okay. So the next meeting is March 20th. And the discussion will be the acceptable use policy and learning management system.
Cody, you have a question?
Yeah. Tablet desk. What is that?
Tablet desks are like the individual desks.
Okay. I've had previous talks with that committee where we're talking about the size of the desk. One of the issues I brought up was that sometimes the desks are too small for people who need like an actual physical tablet, and they don't have that room to be able to do that because whatever, like they need the words bigger. For whatever reason, they need to have the extra space. And I talked about maybe getting slightly larger to accommodate them. Did that get brought up at all? Is that?
I think that's why they're trying out the tables in the 3 room. These are full-size tables instead of, they took the tablet desk completely out of these rooms and they're full-size tables, which should be more accommodating.
Okay, I'm glad they followed through on that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you, Nikki. All right, do you have an update for us on the Ready Ed commission, the Ready Ed committee?
Very briefly, Jason will be able to probably speak more about this than I will. The beta testing app has come out. Unfortunately, I couldn't download it onto my phone. I did let Jason know that it was not working. So from my end, that's about it.
So I can jump in. Thank you, Nikki, for sending that feedback to me. So I did talk with the folks at Ready Ed today. They were unaware that was an issue. So when they tested it on their end, it wasn't, which is exactly why we're beta testing, right? So they are working on that, and will resend us the link, which I will then send out to our subcommittee. They would like us to play around with the app for about 1 to 2 weeks. And then as soon as the Android app is up and running, we are going to schedule our next meeting with Ready Ed, where they will take us through the app. We'll have some familiarity with it and show us some of the functions that we may have been working with and some of the feedback, and they will be taking our feedback ahead of that meeting and our feedback in that meeting to do final edits, and then we will be looking at a launch date. So that's where we are now, but we don't want to schedule that meeting until we know the Android app is up and we have students like Nikki and staff who have Androids playing around in there. Sound good?
All right, Kathy?
Yeah, can I add, so I did download the app and I played with it a little bit. I have found a couple of glitches, which I haven't had a chance to, when I try to log in, I get into the app, but when I try to log into anything, it takes me through the authentication, user authentication, and I get an error message. And I think that's on our end because it's the same error message that I would get if I can't get onto VPN. So I think that might be a tech issue on our end. The other thing that I noticed is that it has the events listed twice. But I did notice, so this is the other thing, all of a sudden I got a notification on my phone at like 3:15 saying I had an SGA meeting. I went, what's that from? So I got a notification from the app, but that also tells me that it's an hour off. It's not in the right time zone. And I went on to see if I could adjust that, but I couldn't figure out a way to adjust it. So, but that's the little I've tried it, that's my experience so far. But at least I was kind of impressed that the notification worked. I didn't expect that.
Very cool. And Ben?
I just had a question about the ReadyEd app. So I heard that you said that it's going on to Android. Is it also being developed for iPhone devices to be able to be used over there, or other devices such as Windows Motorola devices?
I do know that the beta app Destiny gave us, one was for Android, the other one was for Apple iPhone. I believe that was it, Jason, right?
Yeah, help me understand where someone might go that isn't one of those two.
I believe, and granted, it's probably a really small market share, so it's probably not going to affect anyone too much. But I'm pretty sure Windows is still a operating system on Motorola devices. I could be wrong. Also, it depends on the device. So, like having a phone is different than having a tablet. So I don't know if it's cross compatible with both of those, because I know Android, for example, some apps only work on tablets, some work only on phone, and some work on both.
I'm pretty sure those run on the iOS system, which is the same as Android. So they would just download through the same selection as Android.
Yeah, you may need to download it on each device, and the download may be slightly different depending on the device. But I can tell you there is no Microsoft app, right? So it will be, if it's not in the Google store or the iOS store, then those are the two operating platforms that they have.
And those are the most common ones anyway, so I don't see too much of an issue with that. I was just curious.
Yeah. Good question, but that's what I'm looking at the contract right now, and those are the two operating systems that they support.
All right, thank you. Eli?
I was able to download it and I like it. I don't know, it's not bad. Like for me, a lot of my problems with campus events or something is have it integrated into my Google Calendar. And this has like a lot of events that you just tap on the event and add a calendar. Simple. Like, and then it reminds me, and it's kind of a set and forget thing. Like I don't have to like when's that event coming up? It'll just remind me. So I like it. I don't know. And a lot of the other stuff is pretty intuitive. It's not too complicated. There's, a nice picture of Jason with Cody on there, welcoming. It's very nice. So it's nice. I don't know.
And every download, Eli, I get 65 cents for that. In royalties. I'm someone else. Yeah. 65 cents. It looks like I'm extremely constipated in that photo.
Eli, do you have an iPhone or an Android?
I have a Pixel Android phone.
Okay, I might have to look at the settings of my phone to see if that was the issue, but if you were able to download on Android, I actually appreciate the feedback because maybe that's something more on my end.
Well, it's it does take like a couple extra clicks on it. I don't know if it's the same on well, there's like a security precaution on Androids because it's not through the Google Play Store. So it gives you like a warning. Hey, do you want to install this app that's not like security verified? And you just have to say, yeah, I'll install an APK, which is like an installation package outside of the Play Store itself. So you just have to say, okay, and it will bring you to like a settings in your phone. You say, yeah, allow Chrome or whatever you have as your default browser on your phone to open installation packages and then go from there.
All right, thank you very much. I'll definitely have to look into that.
Can I make another comment now? I'm gonna rescind what I said about it being in the wrong time zone, because now that Eli said about putting stuff on the calendar, I must have accidentally put the SGA meeting on the calendar, so I went and put some other things, and I have it set to notify me an hour before the event. So if the time zone, scratch that. That was user error, 100%.
Cool beans. Thank you for the all the updates. Anything else on that before we move on? Super cool beans.
Oh, actually, one more thing. I just noticed it actually asked me a question. Asked me if I'm enjoying the MWCC app. Down at the bottom. It lets me rate it. It's kind of cool.
Fancy.
I just pushed that to you, Kathy, from my office.
Yeah.
So just to speak to Nikki, it's not you. I was able to confirm, working with the techs at Ready Ed, that there is an issue with the Android download, which means Eli slipped through. And you can if you're persistent, but I don't want that, right? Like if adoption is difficult, that's a problem, right? We want folks for this to work for them on the first time they download. Assuming connectivity issues are not an issue. I can't afford for students to struggle with this. That's not a good, that's just not good customer service. So we were able to confirm today there is an issue with the Android download. It is stalling and failing on some devices. And they were able to confirm that because they can see how many failed download attempts there were, and they could see that that was happening.
Ben?
This may have been mentioned. I was wondering if there's an opt-in beta program for people who want to download it, even people that are not a part of the SGA. If a student wants to try it out, see if it's something that they can offer feedback with to the student body liaison, and make the app even better.
So we can't launch the beta app to everyone, but what we can do is that the app itself will have feedback enabled in it, so that users, so it's not a one and done product. We are committing to on the fly edits. So just like any other app, there will be re-releases and bugs and updates that will happen, just like we all have apps that do that. So we're going to ask students to be telling us what's up as they go. So they'll be testing it too, I guess, we'll be launching version 1, and they're going to continuously update as we find things.
Sounds good.
Wonderful, thank you. So I'm gonna move on to All College Forum. As you sits on that, but I was covering for today, so I apologize if my brain's been out in left field all day today, like I mentioned earlier. So I apologize if it's a little doesn't make sense, and I will send this to you, Justina. I just have not had a moment today, so I will get that to you. But All College Forum met today. So the first thing that they talked about was vending machines in cafe hours, which I was gonna ask Jason if you could talk about that, because I have that on the agenda to talk about later as well. But just briefly, so the current hours are 7:30 to 10 a.m. for breakfast and 11 a.m. to 1:30 for lunch. And prior to COVID, they didn't have that gap in between. So to my understanding, people were still asking about that, like with the gap in between. So there used to be 17 employees in the CAF pre-COVID, and now it's only down to 11. So that's why they have to be able to close for that hour to make sure that they can clean everything before the lunch period starts. So they can start getting the lunch food out and everything. The vending contract for the outside vendors, that's being looked over. And I'm gonna put you on the spot, Jason, because in the meeting he said if there's anything specific that people are looking for, to let him know. If you're not finding something in the vending machine that you think should be there, definitely mention something. So for the 2024 operation plan, the development for that, they're using a SMARTY approach. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound, inclusive, and equitable approach. And the submissions to the leadership team are due March 3rd. And there are presentations on prioritization tools that are in place currently as well. Another thing that they talked about was the Title III grants from the Board of Higher Education. And so there's approximately $2.2 million worth of grants over the next 5 years or so to improve the institution and possibly the technology updates in the future. But there is more information to come on that. And there will be feedback groups in the near future. IT updated the Blackboard emergency contact system. The student behavioral health grant. So the 3 points that they were really focused on with this grant, it was reaching or trying to improve the healthy behaviors, programming, and trainings. So for healthy behaviors, and please correct me for anybody else who was there, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but certain meals are going to be covered in the CAF, like healthy meals. Some of them will be paid for in the CAF if we're choosing healthy meals. To my understanding, that's what that was. The semester fitness passes at our fitness center is out. So fitness for the whole semester, fitness passes are being offered to students right now. So if any of you are interested in the gym, they are giving out free gym passes right now for the semester. So they also have Take Care Tuesdays and Wellness Wednesdays from 11:30 to 1:30 in front of the library. And I don't know how to say this, right? Reiki. They have Reiki massages and online yoga sessions available as well. They're also planning on setting up stationary bikes. They'll be in place in various areas of the campus. There will be 7 on this campus, and 1 will be on the Leominster campus if they're able to find the space for it. And then they also are working on a meditation wellness room. Meditation and wellness room. It's going to include yoga mats, yoga and meditation DVDs, launch chair. Lounge chair. My bad. That was a type. I'm like, what is a launch chair? Lounge chair. Light screens and coloring books are as well. So that's the first area that the funding is going to. The second one is programming. So they're going to have 2 speakers come in. Kevin Hines will be here April 26th at 1:30 in the South Cap to talk about suicide prevention. And Wes Woodson will be coming at some point. The time is to be decided still. And then the last area is trainings. So they're going to be training 2 students in QPR, and then those students will also be assigned to kind of like help train other students as well. And then behavioral and threat assessment trainings for all staff, or for some, I think it's all staff, are going to be included on that. So next, some of the president's updates. So there are a lot of new changes in the government of higher education, which leaves us with a lot of unknowns. The president said it is believed that the ship of Free Community College has sailed in Massachusetts. It's not clear when, how, or to whom it will be free, but he believes that's coming in the near future. So he said some things like start thinking about what the impact. This was, I think, more geared towards the employees and the staff, but it's start thinking about the impact it might have in different departments. And start doing some research about job positions and what Free Community College would mean for the employees. And he also mentioned that we need to look at how we would go about integrating this into like the college. I think he said it is an estimate about $50 million for a Free Community College that would have to be paid by the state in order to make that happen. I don't know if that's yearly or by the semester or exactly how that is. But he did mention that as a number. And then, so the NESHE report is still not out. They're waiting. He's gonna be meeting, I believe he said sometime in March with the NESHE team. And then he'll have more information on like whether or not it will be released at that point after that meeting. So we're waiting on the final release for the NESHE report still. I think that covers basically everything. Jason or Cody or Kathy, did you have anything else that you noticed that I did not mention? Cody?
Yeah, I just want to double down. First, I'll say like pretty damn good notes, Chloe. It was a meeting with a lot of stuff in it, and you pretty much took the words out of my mouth on practically everything. The only thing I would like to add, though, is that our own Jim, our own president, has actually been promoted in a way to the chair of the presidential committee of all the presidents. So each community college has their own president, obviously, but they all convene together to talk amongst themselves and bring up issues. And he's promoted to the chair, which means he has direct relationship and friction with Department of Higher Education. So everything you were just saying about pushing forward for a freer community college and having these tuitions be paid for, that discussion, in that meeting, he said that he's going to personally be bringing that up in these meetings. So it's not just like, yeah, we'll talk about it, but it feels more like he's going to be pushing for that reality, which is pretty cool.
Thank you, Cody. Anything from Jason or Kathy? Nope.
Nope, great notes. I will cover some of the stuff in my update too.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Marketing committee? Justina?
Well, we didn't have an official meeting, but we did meet on Tuesday, and we made the Ron Jones posters and the big posters that we put out for him that the QR codes made. We promoted the Ron Jones event pretty well. I handed out flyers myself and promoted that during Pizza with the President. But that's
pretty cool. And actually, speaking of the Ron Jones, we're gonna go to the Ron Jones committee too. We need to kind of talk logistics about the event because that is literally like tomorrow and Thursday. So we need to know what is the rundown, the final rundown, Cody.
Hey, Nikki, we're finally here. By the way, beautiful. I saw the posters in campus, Justina. They are amazing. I'm thinking about stealing one on the way out.
Thank you, Justina.
Yeah. Yeah, the event is ready. Like we literally have the food from the night I ordered. Rocky Peter is ready to rock, as it were, and Ron is probably just bouncing in between the area, the Boston area, waiting for his chance to pop in. All that needs to be brought together by actual people on this committee, hopefully. Me and Nikki are going to be there practically all day. We're going to sneak out for a water break, maybe goof off in the hall somewhere for an alone time, but it is going to need more people. What that means is we need people to staff the check-in booth. There's going to need someone to do the scan, the QR codes, and someone to, since it's open to the public, we need someone to do head counts, the clicker. You've seen them in like track races and stuff. That's going to be somebody's job if you're lucky. We also need people to man the food, not eat all the food, but to serve that and make sure everything goes fine and dole stuff out. That's going to be the food for the night table, preferably 2 people. And literally just people walking around, help set up chairs, make sure the tables are right, and just look official on the grounds, direct people. Those are the main things that we really need. So hopefully a minimum of 5. We have 8 people in this call. And I know Jason is chomping at the bits to donate his time to just walking around the halls. But if we can get a couple people, it would not make things easier on us, but hopefully make things easier for the people attending the event.
As long as I test negative tomorrow for COVID, I will be there. And if I continue testing negative, I will be there.
I think, Cody, we mostly need help tomorrow night. I think you said we had Thursday covered.
Yeah, that's right. So the big power hour is the main thing we're concerned with. Thursday's gonna be a lot more relaxed. So
I'll be there.
Yeah, I would say we need help from 4 o'clock on tomorrow. the cafeteria is all set up. They did that just this afternoon. So they were tweaking that just before I came down to the meeting. So, and we can tweak some more tomorrow as needed. It's set up. We can comfortably seat around 90 in there right now. I don't think we're gonna need more than that. I'm actually attempting to log into Involve Out and I can't. I don't know why, to see what our latest count was. But if I get there, I will let you all know at some point.
Can I add something in really, really quick? I did want to add that we did raise more funds since the last meeting. The teachers union through Candace donated $500, and Cody and I had a meeting with the president and he donated $2,300 to this event. So the event is actually fully funded, and it will not break into our SGA funds.
Good work, guys. That's
Awesome job.
Right, and that also means that we have a lot of food tomorrow night. We have $600 worth of food from the 99, so invite your friends.
Will do.
I was going to say that I can definitely help out after 4 o'clock because I'm going to be there from 10 till whenever this event ends. If that were to be the case, I just need to find food at some point for lunch.
So just real quick, Jason, with the food, with the health grant and everything, is that healthy food in the cafeteria thing put in place already, like right now, or is that not yet a thing?
Oh, you're stealing all my updates. My list is dwindling.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on.
No, I'm just kidding with you.
Yeah, you're gonna be the next report anyways.
So the healthy, and I've been working on an email about this all day, as everything is a process here. So the healthy food options. So we're doing two things, right? So we are creating in the Green Street Cafe a healthy choice menu for every meal. So every day there will be a healthy choice breakfast and a healthy choice lunch. That does not mean cheap. That does not mean little. It means healthy, right? So for example, breakfast is 2 eggs. Of course I blanked on it. I have it here somewhere. Hold on. 2 organic eggs, any way you want them, wheat or multigrain toast, and a petite fresh fruit cup, right? So good breakfast. For lunch, your options will be the homemade soup of the day and a half of a sandwich, however you want that. The healthy choice entree, or one of those entree salads that comes in that clamshell plastic, whatever that is. It could be a garden salad, it could be the salad of the day. So a part of this is shifting our menu options to have a healthy choice option available to anyone every day at every meal. In cooperation with that initiative, we have a mental health grant looking at the research that healthy food and healthy food options make for healthy people and healthy outlook, and full bellies with good food are good for everyone. We are looking to purchase 702 healthy breakfast cards and 1,532 healthy lunch cards. And those will be distributed to students through the food pantry, through programs, through other initiatives. And the theory behind this is that you will present your card. It will get you one of those options, and then you walk out the door. Done and done. That equates to $12,000 worth of free food that we will be offering to students as a part of this grant. Seems easy peasy. We're just working through all of the logistics on the accounting side, because new things are hard things at Mount Wachusett. Not for me, but for I like new things. I think new things are easy, but they require some back end work. So that's what I'm working on right now. As soon as that is ready, we will launch that. We have everything ready in terms of marketing, and we just have to make it all legal with the money people. Questions about that? Does that make sense? So we're trying to do two things. And I will be honest with you that I am trying to find a way in this program to not only feed folks that need meals while they're here on campus, to have those be healthy options, but not gross options, right? I mean, there's plenty of flexibility and variability within those options that folks can feel comfortable doing what they want to do. I bounced this off a bunch of students. The piece of feedback that we got was, well, what if I have an allergy to the items on your list, right? What if I have a dairy allergy? The back of the card will say, if you have a food allergy, alert the Green Street Cafe and they will find an appropriate substitute, right? So we'll do that. That I am trying to still find that solution to that vending machine. And I know that solution is also about time and extension of hours, but I did go back and look at all of the documents for that fresh vending machine, and the amount of food and food waste loss from that machine was really considerable. So that's the issue that I have, right? When we're talking about food equity, we threw away more than we sold in that vending machine. And I realized that we did that for folks after hours, and we've got to find a way to make that work. So I'm still trying to figure that out. And that goes back to, I'll just do my other update about the hours of the Green Street. The hours of the Green Street are really dictated by our payroll hours. So we had 17 before because we made more money and we had more people on campus and our enrollments were higher. We have 11 because I can't afford 17. So I know we all hate to talk about things like a business, but I can't run the Green Street Cafe and have it lose money. And that's the reason I don't have a dishwasher. I don't have folks to clean. So we close for that hour so that we can literally clean the grills, turn them over, wash all the dishes, turn over from breakfast to lunch. And until we start to make enough profit, I can't hire more people. So we were able to hire a new cook. That's great. But we can't extend the hours until we are able to make the money to be open. Right now, we are not making money in that 1 to 1:30 hour. No one comes in. So it's hard to increase that to 3 when we're not having many customers from 1 to 1:30. So one of the things that we are doing is getting a new POS system. And those folks have been on campus a couple of times. So point of service, point of sale, to try to increase our data so we can look at who's coming when and what they're buying when, and see if we can't use that to be more intuitive about our sales so that we can grow our sales. Because the one thing I don't want to do is, I took over food service to try to increase the student-centered nature. So I don't want to raise prices. I won't do that. I'm trying to lower prices. And if you've been in there, you'll see that we've been able to lower the margin on some things a little bit. I'm looking at like fountain drinks as a way to get rid of plastic and single-use sodas, because those are so expensive to buy. And they're bad for the planet, right? So, and can we do reusable cups? And if you have a reusable cup, it costs less money because we're not wasting money on paper products. So we're trying to investigate those solutions, because I don't want to be open more by charging more. Does that make sense? That defeats the purpose. So I want to stay as affordable as possible, have these free food, healthy options, and hopefully generate the volume that we can add some more folks so that we can stay open longer.
Thank you, Jason. As I say, any questions except Justina? Yeah, that's definitely a lot to email there. But do you think you could email that to Justina for the minutes?
One more thing on Jason's list.
So that was supposed to be a quick, like I was gonna try and answer that question for you there, Ben, to see if you could get your lunch tomorrow and find a way to get lunch so you could stay all day. Yes, but thank you for that update, Jason. And so actually, Ben, well, before we move on, is there anything else for Ron Jones?
Yeah, if we can get more of a solidified time for that, because it does start at 4:30 sharp, and then me and Nikki, whoever needs to go get the food and move things along. So if you want to email me or Nikki after this meeting or early tomorrow morning, and just let us know if you're available at 4:30 to 6:30 or any point during that, just let us know and we'll go from there.
I'm available the whole time. I'll just
That's
tell
what I
you
love
that.
to hear.
And I think Justina said she is the whole time. So that's at least 4 of us. And then hopefully Ren.
I'll text you, Nikki, in the morning if I test negative.
And then also hopefully, well, Jason can be there and then hopefully Ben as well. So we have quite a few people. So, but you just gotta tell us what you need us to do. And that can, I could guess that can be a tomorrow thing. So, do you want us there? What time do you want us there? If the event starts at 4,
It starts at 4:30.
4:30, my bad.
Since we already have the table set up and just it's mainly just getting prepared for what we need to do once it starts ticking down. So if you get here like 4, I feel like that would be fine.
Yeah, 4 would be good because that'll give us time to get everybody prepped. By then, Rocky Peter will be in and have done sound check, and we want to meet people as they come in, direct people. That's tomorrow. Justina, that's one of our projects, is to get some good signage up so people coming from off campus know where they're going. So that's a tomorrow project.
Okay, I have to run to a meeting tomorrow from like 3 to 3:30, and then I'm gonna come right back, but I'm gonna be on campus all day.
Should work well.
All right, anything else on Ron Jones?
I did get into Involved Mount. We're up to 12 people on Involved Mount registered with 13 guests, so that's 25. Only one person from outside the campus community.
And
has
my
registered.
family has not actually registered yet.
Okay.
Can you resend out the link for that for me? Actually, I can do it and then register with guests, right?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
how you gotta do.
Okay, don't
Yeah.
listen to me.
And I did find out today, thanks to Chloe's sister, that she's actually in a class, a history class from 3:30 to 6. So I'm gonna email the history professor to see if he'd be willing to release his class at, say, 5:15, come down for dinner and stay for the presentation.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Kathy, I saw your email about the Ron visiting classrooms. Thank you very much. I still have not received any response except for one professor that booked for 9 a.m. Hoping maybe tomorrow that I can run into some professors and say, hey, do you have a class tomorrow morning?
Yeah, for that, Nikki, it just seems like an hour after the fact, you just stick around for 30 minutes, answer questions, and it feels like what's gonna end up being like, unless there's a surprise, Candace shows up last minute, be here at 8:45. But we can go from there.
Which professor got back to you, Nikki?
Patrick Abachan, he booked a 9 a.m.
Perfect.
And I do know, Thursday for the noontime event, Miss Gunn is bringing her group, because I told her I wasn't gonna be in class and
Right.
I was gonna be at the
Yeah,
event, and she was like, oh, well, we're going there anyways. I'm like, yeah, but I'm still not coming to class first because I have to work. And she's like, oh, that's fine, I'll see you there. I'm like, okay.
I'm not as worried about Thursday because, you know, we just have people on campus Thursday. I'm more worried about getting the people out tomorrow night. And I did promote it. Jason and I promoted it heavily in our student services meeting today. Also, and then asked everybody to, you know, promote it with students and for them to also come. So, Be nice if we use up all the food tomorrow night. And we do, because the president gave money, we also have pizza on Thursday, which was not originally in the plan. But we had enough money that we could do pizza on Thursday. Or no.
Cool beans.
Media just came in.
Saving the day.
Stealing the TV.
Oh,
I didn't
you
even
know?
why it was here.
Tim should come to the event.
He is.
Oh yeah, you're
He's recording.
He's working.
Tomorrow?
Okay. I told you I'm a little slow today. I don't. Yeah. I don't know.
If you guys are holding an event, you know we're there.
Oh yeah.
We can't do that. Can't do events without them.
Super cool beans. All right. Anything else on Ron Jones?
I think that's it. Unless you can think of anything, Nikki.
The only thing I can think of is we did go through the marketing department of the college. They did release a press release, and we did hear that the Sentinel Enterprise picked it up. So hopefully maybe the paper will be there.
Very cool. Thank you. All right, so let's just move on real quick to Ben, from their retention plan liaison. Anything new?
So I did get to meet with and I'm sorry, I'm blanking on her name. But I did get to finally meet with them and finding out like where we're currently standing as far as what their plans are and things like that. Very basically, their plan at the moment was to talk to different or kind of get some sort of feedback from students through me. I gave them the idea of doing something where they might be able to do some sort of a mass email survey to try and get students feedback that way, as far as like what they could be doing differently. I know that they had a couple of points. They have not emailed those points to me yet, and I know they said they were going to. So I've been stopping by the office every now and again just to see if they were in, and I have not seen them since meeting them. So sort of on hold.
Nikki?
Ben, can I offer a suggestion for retention for the next time you meet with them?
Sure.
Financial aid. So when you have a balance over, I think it's like $2,500, they tell you, oh, if you don't pay by this day, you're gonna get kicked out of class. I had to call financial aid 4 times to confirm that my financial aid would cover my entire bill. Because I got told 4 times I was gonna get kicked out of all my classes, even though all of my financial aid covers it. And each time I talked to a person, the last person had no idea what I was talking. And I cannot even tell you how frustrating that is. And makes you just want to be like, I've had enough of this for today.
I can definitely sympathize with that. My financial aid did the same thing where it said that I owed a bill. And luckily enough, I'm familiar enough with my financial aid officer that I could just stop by her desk and be like, hey, I just want to make sure that my bill is paid. And she's like, yep, no, your bill is paid. Why? And I'm like, because I got an email saying it wasn't. So she's like, no, you're paid through the spring, so you should be good to go. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep an eye on it. And no one has said anything to me as far as, hey, you can't attend classes anymore. So I agree with you that we need to make sure that the communication to students between semesters is crystal clear as to, yes, they're able to attend, that their classes are paid for, or what the due date is on that and things like that. I completely agree.
Yeah, I got the same email 4 times in 2 weeks, and I had to call and talk to somebody, and the person, like, I had to confirm every single time that my financial aid was going to cover my bill. And what would have happened if I had gotten kicked out of classes in a few days? So that definitely brings a lot of stress to students of, am I going to be able to stay in my classes?
Right. Well, not to mention that communication, if someone's not questioning it because they're not familiar with the college, they might get that email and say, well, I guess I'm not going to college, and not show up.
Eli?
I've had nothing but great interactions with financial aid, like nothing but stellar performance. I think they have a lot on their plate, and it's just understandable. Like, I think you did a good job being persistent, and sometimes that's all it takes is just to say, hey, this is still an issue, because it's an issue for like a lot of people, and it's not always it's not their fault. I think it's just a facet in the system, and I think they're doing great. Like, I emailed them and they were very prompt every time, and they were able to look up another person and what they did and help me. So I think they're all very knowledgeable, and I would give them the most credit in what they do.
Yeah, Eli, I completely agree with you that the staff in financial aid is absolutely phenomenal. Every single person I've talked to has been really wonderful. The staff themselves is like the best. It's the whatever program they're using that automatically sends out like notifications is the problem, because I've had 2 separate financial aid counselors say I put a note in your account to not get like another notification, and I still got 2 more after that. So it's definitely not the staff. I'm not blaming the staff whatsoever. The staff is phenomenal. It's something with the financial aid like notification system that has some sort of glitch in it that's a problem.
I completely agree.
All right.
The other thing that I do want to bring to their attention, and this is something that I'm just noticing, is if say a grade comes in to a student and it's a low grade, but the teacher's like, hey, if you resubmit and you do this, that, and the other thing, I'll revise it. I just want to make sure that that's kind of staying up to date, because sometimes that can take some time for teachers to revise it, and then weeks later students are looking at their grades going, I did this, why is it not higher?
All right, thank you. All right, so moving on to external reports. Jason? If you have anything left.
The defense rests.
Alrighty, and Candace is not here. We already moving on to old business. We already talked about the vending machine. Was there anything else to add on that, or we'll just move on to?
No, I mean, I think the only thing I would add is that we also are looking for, we have feedback from our Leominster students now that Leominster is open and back in business, that unlike Gardner, Leominster does not have any food service options on campus, and is also fairly distant from food service options, the closest being fast food like Wendy's, Friendlies, and not a lot of time for students on a break from class to be able to get to a space to get food. So we do have 3 vending machines on campus in the newly redesigned space, but there's no sustainable healthy food options. It's candy and cookies and soft drinks and Gatorades. So we are looking, when we look at new vending contracts and new vending businesses, we are looking at our current vending business does not offer us any fresh food or healthy food vending options. It's not a part of their portfolio of options, but there are other vending companies that offer and stock on a daily or regular basis. So part of our desire to potentially change vending companies is to look for a company that can provide us yogurt and sandwiches and those types of options, and then they're responsible for switching those out. And quite honestly, the loss of any food that's expired, right? So they would be doing that versus us doing that. Because even if we offer it on the Gardner campus, we won't be able to literally transport salads and sandwiches down to Leominster and back. So we're trying to find a vending company that would do that for us.
Thank you. All All right, so moving on to new business. So something we want to bring up is student organization qualifications. Kathy, do you want to give a little like?
Sure. So I had one of the advisors, reached out to me last week wanting to know why, if you, and I don't have it in front of me, if you look at the, in the student organization handbook, the 3 tiers of the student organizations. Tier 1 is the, I can't remember exactly what we called it, but they're the permanent organizations. Such as student government, CATS, esports, the Mount Observer, those are the ones that are just here, they don't go away. And they're an officer, minimum requirements are the 2.0 GPA, like the registered student organizations, but their qualifications for number of credits is determined by the organization. Whereas the registered student organizations requires a minimum of 6 credits. So this advisor asked why there was that difference. And I said, I don't recall when that discussion happened like 2.5 years ago now, what the reasoning was behind that. And they requested that maybe SGA look at it to decrease the number of credits required for the officers of all RSOs. So I said that I would bring it before the SGA. So that would be something that ultimately it should go back to the Constitution Committee if the SGA feels that they want to have this discussion and then hash out the pros and cons of whether or not you want to either increase what is the permanent student organization of that requirement, or whether you want to decrease for the registered student organization, or if you want to keep it the same. If you want to keep it the same with, you know, the ability for advisor discretion to, you know, and I guess part of it is the fact that many students, especially since COVID, have reduced the number of courses they take. So you might have a student that is really active, but they're only taking 1 class at a time. Or you may have a student that maybe has been a club officer for 4 semesters and they have 1 class left and now they can't serve as an officer in their final semester. So anyway, so I'm just, you know, I wanted to put it out there, and if the SGA would like to vote to send that to the Constitution Committee, and then go from there.
Yeah, so I'm gonna make a motion to send the student organization qualifications to have the Constitution Committee look at that and kind of like basically look at it and see how we want to move forward with that. I'd like to entertain the motion to send that to the Constitution Committee.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay. So any discussion on that?
I think that's absolutely a good idea to reduce the requirements to a more sensible thing for people to serve, for part-time students and for students who are just ending their semesters. It's certainly worth looking at to see a kind of a situation by situation basis and kind of make that the, you know, topic of discussion when it comes to the Constitution Committee. We want to make sure that students are actually wanting to be involved and not just doing it to get it on their resume.
Can I make a
Yep, Kathy.
comment? So just a little history as to why that was originally put there. There were times when there were students here simply taking 1 class at a time so that they could be a club officer. So we had issues with students that were just, you know, taking a class at a time just so they could be here to run a club. That was one of the reasons. that was instituted originally, the 6 credit minimum. You know, whether the fact that, students are taking less classes now. There was also the consideration that if a student was only here taking 1 class, most likely they weren't going to be as involved in a club. Again, things have changed. So those are just so you have a little history as to why that was instituted, and that was like a number of years ago that was instituted. It was long before COVID.
And as mentioned earlier, like we can, oops, my laptop almost just died. As mentioned earlier, and I'm on the Constitution Committee, so I can bring this up to Sarah as well. So we can also look at it like as having the option as like a case-by-case basis. We can keep it like, and we can do a lot with it. So we can like keep it where it is. And then if it is a situation where it's like somebody really wants to get involved, but they're not taking the minimum of 2 classes, the advisor can then like say, I want to make it so this person can be involved, this exception for right now, and then also run it through like student life, and they can talk about it like what is the circumstances, and then get that approved for that student to be able to do it for the semester. Like if it is a senior year thing, like we can do stuff like that too. Cody?
Yeah, I was going to save it for the committee meeting, but then I realized I'm not on that committee. So I just quickly wanted to say that I don't think a half measure would be appropriate here. I think if you're going to vote either way, I would be in favor of lowering it. I feel like someone who's committed enough to join or be voted into a position will probably be just as good or just as happy as someone who chooses to be that, whether they're one course credit or 3 courses or taking multiple classes. But I would advise against doing a half measure, where it's leaving it up to the advisor, because there have been situations in the past where advisors would have friction with the people in their club, whether the direction the club's going or whatever. And someone who's they feel could be best in the role may not get that role. And I feel like that is more dangerous than some person taking 1 class and then possibly doing a bad job that would be voted out anyway. That's just my 2 cents.
Thank you. Nikki?
Yeah, I definitely agree a lot with Cody. I think there should be a reduction. I know for me, it had the opposite effect. I started off as a part-time student, only taking 2 classes. And now, because I've become so involved in school, I'm actually taking more classes. The more I got involved in other areas of school, the more I wanted to do academically. And now I'm taking 3 or 4 classes. I know, like my husband personally, I tell him how awesome SGA is. He really wants to join. He works so many hours, so unfortunately he can only take 1 class right now, but he would really like to join SGA and he can't because he only takes 1 class. He literally be taking 2, but I think people that really do want to get involved, even if they are only taking 1 class, should be considered.
Thank you, because I do know we also had another person who was interested in being on SGA but was only taking 1 class. Yeah, that's what I meant. 1 class this semester. So
That was the other reasoning when that was instituted was, okay, this is the SGA minimum, let's make officers requirement for clubs
the same.
the same as the minimum to be on student government. So that was where the model came from. So you may want to consider reducing it for student government too.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something we can talk about. And Ben?
I just wanted to echo what Cody and Nikki and Kathy were all saying, that the requirement as far as number of classes, I think should definitely go down. And I think it's more of maybe a bylaw that should be written, where it's, if someone wants to join a club and they're only taking 1 class at the college, basically they have to do something extra. So write in reason to join the club, their reasoning for it, what they want to get out of the club, things like that. And then their inclusion in the club could be voted on by the members in the club to have them join. That way it's more democratic, and it's more like, it's still difficult, but it's not like impossible. And it makes it, you know, something that if someone wants to join and they're only taking one class at a time and they want to get more involved, like Nikki is saying, maybe just by being more involved, that means that they're actually going to be at the college more and they're going to take more classes, and that might mean more money for the college and more opportunities for students. So I think it's a good thing overall.
And so I do just want to clarify, we're not talking about the minimum credits to join an organization, a club. It's the minimum to be like to hold an officer position in that club or organization. And I know Justina, you had your hand up first, and then Kathy also had it.
I was just gonna make the same clarification you just did.
Oh, okay, Justina.
Sorry, mine was a little off subject, but still on the credit based thing, so I figured I'd just wait. Because I was wondering about the president and the dean's list is kind of the same thing.
Yeah,
And
so it is a little different. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a totally different topic.
Yep, so that's not for this discussion right now. That's a whole thing in and of itself. Eli?
Is there like part of the argument that we want to give priority to more full-time students? Is that part of it?
So I'm not sure. I do think, I mean, I kind of like the idea of that Ben had, like, we can make it maybe so like the minimum like if somebody's only taking one class at the moment, and say they do want to hold like an officer position, maybe they can write a little I mean, I'm not really sure. I'm not entirely sure exactly. I'm just thinking in terms of like, I'm thinking the people who are taking more credits, and I don't want to say this in like, I don't know. I'm trying to word this correctly. Because I feel like the people who are taking more credits originally, because they wanted to still be able to hold the officer position, and so they are taking that or if they're on SGA and they took that second class so they could hold that position, like stuff like that, and then all of a sudden it's lowered. I also kind of want to just be cautious of like those people who did take the extra class so they could be involved too, because then they're gonna, I mean, I don't know, I don't want to make it, I don't necessarily know if we want to make it too easy, but also we want to make it achievable for all students. So I don't know, I'm not really sure. What are your thoughts on that?
Again,
Say we send it to Constitution Committee.
Yeah, this is a Constitution Committee, I think now.
Yeah. All right. So all in favor of moving this to the Constitution Committee?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, this is officially moved to the Constitution Committee. All right, so next on for new business is the part-time students being on the president's list and the dean's list. Nikki, would you like to considering you requested this, would you like to entertain the motion to start this discussion?
Sure, do I just say I'd like to entertain a motion, or do I just start explaining? I've never done this before.
No, that's okay. So you just be like, I'd like to entertain a motion to discuss part-time students being on the president's and dean's list.
Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to discuss part-time students being on the dean's and president's list.
So moved.
Seconded.
Very cool. So now, because you're running discussion, you would now ask, is there any discussion?
Is there any discussion?
I think this should also go to the Constitution Committee, something that we need, or is this coming to the SGA now for us to vote on it?
I believe so, because it's not technically a constitution thing that we have the ability to change. It's not in like a constitution for us, I don't think, so it would not go to the Constitution Committee, so this is just for us to discuss, like, what is everybody's thoughts on this, and would we want to move forward with this, which I'm pretty sure most people,
And you want to see what your process is.
and we want,
It's
yeah.
not a decision at your level, it would be, you would have to take it to the administration.
Yeah, so we have to kind of look into it, because it is not something that the SGA can just like put in place like that. We can't just be like, oh yes, this is what we want to do. So upon approval of moving this towards the next steps, we can then get more information on how we can find the information as to why it is how it is, and how we can go about maybe finding a way to help change that. Eli, you have your hand up?
Yeah, as a part-time student who's never been eligible, I am firmly against it. I think we are not an island. I think like it's like changing the NBA rules, right? Like suddenly all the records before it are invalid. I think we owe it to our fellow students not to be selfish and say, well, what about me? Like we should uphold their standards and their full-time student. It's harder to maintain those dean's list and president's list when you have a full load of classes. I think it means more, and we should honor those students. And like it also is a standard across other colleges. Like it doesn't mean the same thing now. It translates differently. And I think, we just owe it to other colleges. We owe it to the students before us to just honor what the integrity of what those titles mean.
Okay, thank you. Ren?
Yeah, I absolutely disagree with you, Eli. I was also a part-time student and could have been on the president's list for the entire first year that I was there. But because I only took 3 classes instead of 4, I was not able to get that. And that they work harder is, I'm sorry for my French, but a load of bullshit. I'm a parent. Eli, you're a parent. You work just as hard to maintain your grades. And I work just as hard, and Nikki and all those others are working just as hard, but we are not getting recognition. It is not a slap in the face to those before us. It is progress. I mean, think about women's rights. Those before us had nothing. They fought for them for future generations. And that is our goal, is to make it better for future generations. It's not about us. It's about what we can do for those around us and those that come after us.
All right, thank you. Ben?
I would just be curious to know what the new requirements proposed are, or if that's going to be a future discussion. I think it's a really good idea to go into that meeting with administration with a plan, and say, this is how it currently is, and this is what we think is an improvement to how it currently is.
Okay. Nikki?
I just kind of want to give everybody a background of where, like, I brought this up from. I actually got this idea from CCSLA. One of the colleges that was presenting to us stated that one of the changes they had recently made to their college is recognizing part-time students on the president and dean's list. So there are other community colleges in the state that are instituting this change. I've taken a full-time schedule, I've taken a part-time schedule. Depending on the class, it can be just as demanding. If we had instituted this the entire time we were here, I would have been eligible for the president's list the entire time I've been at Massachusetts. But I've only received it one time because I only went full-time one time. I take 3 classes now. And I think it's important to recognize our part-time students, because there are people that are student parents that have full-time jobs that can't take on a full-time load, but that doesn't mean that they're not working hard and really deserve their accomplishments to be recognized.
Thank you, Nikki. Jason?
Thank you for letting me talk. Everyone's making really good points, and I do want to go back to Eli's point, because it is an important one for us to remember, that there is a definition of the difference between part-time and full-time status. And to be fair, right, part-time and full-time status impacts almost everything about your enrollment. It impacts your aid. It impacts the pace at which you graduate. It impacts the credits that you receive. And one of the things that's true about a community college is that students can go at whatever pace and speed that they would like to go at. So but also to Nikki's point, the institution that I'm aware of that is acknowledging part-time students on the president's and dean's list is doing so with the notation that of students are either full-time or part-time, right? So they are making that designation. And there are institutions across the country that create a part-time and a full-time president's and dean's list, right? So I think there's a way to recognize, and everyone's journey and path is different. The question really is here, full-time versus part-time status, because part-time could be 1 class and it could be 3 classes. Full-time could be 5 classes or 7 or 8 classes. And so that recognition and status is important. For example, the President's Key, which is an award that's given here at Mount Wachusett, is for anyone with a perfect 4.0. It can be part-time, it can be full-time, but you have to get all of your credits at Mount Wachusett. It doesn't devalue that someone transferred in 25 credits from another institution. It's just not the criteria for this particular designation. So I think we have to be careful about what our criteria are and why. And I think if we want to be an institution that values both full-time and part-time attendance, then we can create a way of making that known. And I don't think it's a less than, more than, it's just a different pathway.
Thank you. Cody?
Yeah, so I'm gonna echo a little bit of both sides here and say, yeah, there is a hard system in place across multiple colleges, and that's not only meaningful, but has weight behind it. And I don't think that it should be diminished, or that it's as easy as snapping the fingers and switching the switch to make sure this change. There is an established system with a hard press pass to this. Now, with that said, I want to say it is weird that 2 people can graduate with a 4.0 and one is acknowledged for hard work and achievement and the other isn't. It feels off to me that is a situation that can happen. I know, Jason, you just brought up the key, the President's Key for students who do achieve 4.0. Great. Maybe we should move towards providing more avenues for recognition, that these students who do this tremendous achievement, whether it's 1 class at a time or 8 classes at a time, are all acknowledged. And is it changing it down to not having it required to be full-time? I don't know. I feel like it's a bigger discussion, but I do think it's something that it's kind of bullshit that these students aren't being acknowledged as they should be.
Thank you. Ben?
Jason and Cody both stole the words out of my mouth. I think this is something that we should acknowledge as a separate kind of thing. If you're a part-time student, you're on the part-time list, but you still are being recognized for having a 3.2 or higher, or a 4.0 or higher, or whatever the minimum requirements are, which is part of the reason why I said whatever we go to administrative with, we should have some sort of a pre-plan, like this is what we think is going to be a better system than what we're currently using.
Thank you. Any other discussion on that? I'm sorry, Nikki, I just took that from you, but I've gotten in the
That's
mindset.
fine.
I think the compromise of like the list notation is a great idea, but I think to go on my previous point of like, we should honor the students before us. If we're doing this for ourselves, we should retroactively try to make up for it on all the students who missed out on it.
Okay. Is this something, what else is here for discussion? Is this something we want to table and talk about in, an off week meeting? After the committee meetings? What are we thinking? Nikki, there's a thumbs up and Ben. So let's table this for now. And see if we can get some more information and just talk about it. Maybe after the committee meetings, this week, we'll just, everybody stay after and talk about it. And we can just kind of see where the discussion takes us, questions and stuff, we can bring that up as well. Based on what we come up with. So we have to vote on tabling it, right? Or do we just table it?
I don't think you have to, I think you can just table it.
Okay,
Is that correct, Jason? They don't have to vote to table it, right? They can just table it.
I don't have my Robert's Rules of Order book on me, but I think I do think you should table it officially, because if someone does want to continue discussion, you're making an executive decision to stop that discussion. I know this issue isn't contentious and it feels unanimous, but I think proper protocol would be to introduce a motion to table, and then make sure that you have exhausted that discussion and you have a vote to agree on that.
okay, thank you. And because Nikki was the one who, in the first place, moved, or entertained the motion, Nikki, you're gonna be the one to, I think, table it too, right?
Okay, so I just say, entertain the motion to table this discussion on part-time students on the deans and presidents list.
So moved.
Second,
I second.
Okay, so, this has been tabled and we will.
Gonna take a vote.
Oh, yeah, that's right. My bad. I totally just missed that. Any discussion on that? I keep taking it from Nikki. I feel bad. I'm so bad at this.
What was I supposed to do? I'm sorry, I'm so confused.
Oh, it's okay. So you would ask for discussion, and then if there's no discussion, you do all in favor, all opposed, and then any abstentions.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Okay, motion
Anything
passed.
else?
Nope, wonderful job. All right, so it is officially tabled. So I'll put that on the agenda for the next meeting, and we'll everybody stay on after the committee meeting this upcoming Tuesday, which I will also talk about in a minute. So another thing that was brought up is, and I'm gonna have Cody, I'm gonna have you talk about this a little bit more, because I was kind of sort of out of the discussion a little bit. I don't know if that was my own fault, or if I just was not there that day, or I'm not sure. But regarding the scholarship in memory of Stephanie Berry. So for those of you who do not know, our previous SGA president from last year passed away. Not this past weekend, but the weekend before that. And so picking up with Cody, we're talking about potentially doing a scholarship.
Yeah. So after our discussion, we passed around a lot of ideas, fundraising, tip jars, like we're a deli shop on the counter, trying to raise funds, cards, you name it. We did send out the card. We did have further discussion, me and Kathy, about and Kathy with Jason and all that about what we can do to honor Stephanie going forward. We talked about a one-time grant reward. What we talked about earlier that could be a potential better idea, especially going forward in continual remembrance of Stephanie, is there is a evening of excellence here on the campus where we get all the people that they think are really fancy, have done impressive things in certain departments of their program or outside the college, whatever it is. They bring them together for a night and honor them. They give them a certificate, they give them a reward. And more importantly, they acknowledge that. That's the evening of excellence. And one of the things that was discussed was having an award named after Stephanie. She committed a ton of time here on campus and off campus, a insane amount of time to clubs and to making sure that the SGA and everything that she touched was running smoothly. And having a similar acknowledgement to another student on campus who's doing similar in the same path as Stephanie feels like the best thing to not only keep this going, you know, a year from now, 2 years from now, but also in remembrance of her. What do you guys think?
I love it. She'd love it.
I love it too. I think that sounds amazing.
I'm a little curious as to if there's a one-time grant, what that grant would go towards. Is it going towards fueling that excellence recognition? Is it going towards a student?
It's more of acknowledgement. I know that people who do go to the Evening of Excellence who are selected, they receive a reward. They're able to choose from a selection of items that they're able to be sent to them. I don't know how many, if any, get rewards. I don't know if Kathy or Jason can clarify if there's any of them have a monetary value to them. We'd be purchasing an award each year.
Yeah, I give a little insight too. So Cody, what you're aware of was the box that we used to do when we were doing it because of COVID virtually. As we go back to an in-person this year. So a lot of times, so the curriculum awards come with a certificate, usually a small monetary amount. What we were looking at was doing some sort of a plaque or, you know, some sort of a memento that would go to a person in, you know, like a leadership award named after Stephanie, so that whoever got that award each year would have this as a lasting memory of that award versus monetary. And that would be something that would, like, SGA wouldn't have to fundraise for that. It would just come out of the budget that I have for that particular event.
I think overall, having some sort of a ceremony of excellence that's outside of graduation, something that recognizes leaders, and those leaders being people that are on the SGA in club organizations and their officers are higher, someone that's achieved some sort of meaningful excellence within the college or has shown, and I know that there are awards for this, but showing meaningful volunteer excellence outside the college. Same goes for meaningful work study time. And I don't know if that's something that would be elected by faculty. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to just put this through my head and putting it into words. Like, who is that? How has that decision come to? How can we make it fair for everyone to achieve this? And everyone understands that this is something that you really have to go the extra mile in order to get it.
If I may, we literally had the exact same conversation, Ben, as in a beautiful point. Like, who then has to decide this? Was it fall onto? Is the group committee to come to us? One of the things talked about was having the professors from the departments select a student that they notice coming through their class that has, you know, the Steph-esque qualities, right? And bring them forward to the committee and then have that process go on from there. But it would be up to so it would be known to the professors, hey, be on the lookout if someone's going above and beyond or has, you know, been doing these extracurricular activities and donating a lot of their time. Maybe send them forward to the committee in the office, and then there they can be acknowledged.
Yeah, because that was something I was gonna ask about is like, what would the like requirements be to make people eligible for that? So if we did it on like the basis of like your faculty are just gonna be, or that the head of the departments are gonna be looking out for specific students who like are coming to class every day, who are, I mean, so I mean, I guess if that's what we're going off of, we wouldn't have to have like necessarily requirement, well, kind of, yeah, well, those are part of the requirements, like the qualifications and stuff. But that's kind of what I was wondering about, is the like qualifications and stuff.
You could set baseline, we talked about that too. You could set baseline recommendations and all this other stuff, but then you would also have the weird thing of going into the history of each individual student to make sure that they felt like, hey, you didn't do a B on that class, so that automatically disqualifies you. Or maybe you had a rough, right? This is well, there's dedicated academic acknowledgements on campus, and that's definitely a part of it. But there's also like this third element, this fifth element of commitment that could be tilted the scale in a way that could make it difficult for just a strict thing. So I think judgment of the individual professors, and then coming before us, we have this pool of like pre-qualified students, and then us picking from that pool could make things easier and just more streamlined.
Okay. Ben?
On the note of having the people, the heads of departments be the ones that are kind of quote unquote nominating students. I only know about my head of department, so correct me if I'm wrong, but they have a ton on their plate. They have all their classes, they have to grade all their classes, not to mention making sure that their department's going in the right direction, that the classes that are being offered for that department are correct and follow the college as a whole, not just for our college, but for colleges in our area, to make sure that we're giving the same education that other colleges would give in those departments. That way it's more transferable, it's more useful. I feel like there's already a lot going on, so giving them one more thing just to me feels like it's a hard ask. I could be wrong. I do think that having some sort of a neutral party being given these nominations, or at least being able to nominate a student, definitely goes a longer way than anything else. So yeah, I just my thoughts on it.
Thank you. Eli?
I just want to be considerate of everybody's time before I ask some questions. I don't know how long this meeting is running, but I just a couple technical questions of like, I have applied for scholarships and received them, but my tuition has been waived. So like, I didn't get those scholarships because they usually apply towards tuition. And I know there's some special scholarships that like just give you the money, but very few and rare. So just something to think about, like how can they be used by the student in question? And so as a follow-up to that, like when I took those people, potentially other students who applied for it, I took their scholarship, like, and then it just gets returned to the pot. I don't think it went to the next student in line kind of thing. It just, no one got it that year, which is kind of sad, but just something to think about when you're setting up scholarships is how is there a fallback plan, or how is this going to be used by a student?
So as far as I'm aware, we've kind of moved, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but we've kind of moved off to, and Ben, yes, I did see your message. We'll just wrap this up real quick. We're gonna table this, and then I'll just go through the announcements real quick and we'll be all set. But as far as I'm aware, we've kind of moved off of potentially doing the scholarship and have moved more towards an award. Like, so when a student is graduating, then they are eligible for the Stephanie Berry Leadership Award, if that's what we name it, which actually I think that's really nice, Justina. But I am gonna entertain a motion to table this, because I do know that it's getting late and some people have to get going. So I'd like to entertain a motion to table this for the next meeting?
So moved.
So moved.
Seconded.
Seconded. Damn it.
Oh, Ren, was that something according to the vote or did? Any discussion? Any discussion before, any last discussion before we just table this? Okay, all, in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I
All opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so this is also tabled, for the next meeting. So just real quick, so in terms of the committee meetings, we are meeting the off week, for SGA, so if it's not an SGA meeting week, we are having the committee meetings. Everybody should be there unless you have some sort of medical or any personal, if like something that comes up personally. Everybody should be making an effort to be there because it is the same time frame. And it should still work for everybody. So everybody should be there. The last few meetings, we have had very, very few people show up. So we do need to start making that, it's not, I mean, it's not as important as the SGA meetings, but it's very close because we have a lot of discussion that we need to pull into the SGA meetings, a lot of discussion that we, would save us from a 2-hour meeting. So we do need to get everybody together for those committee meetings. Everybody should be there unless you absolutely cannot be there. So that's just a big thing. And thank you to everybody who has been showing up. And so the next meeting, so the next committee meeting is next Tuesday, the 14th at 4:30. And the next SGA meeting is Tuesday, February 21st, and also at 4:30. And I will see most of you tomorrow. Anything before I close this? No? All right, cool beans. I call this meeting to adjourn at 6:19 p.m.